All right. Great question from Bill on YouTube. Bill, what did you ask? Bill Winterberg. Bill's been a longtime supporter of this channel. Huge props to Bill for all the questions, all the comments. How do you feel about the imposter syndrome, zeitgeist, among online content creators? Sometimes when others say they suffer from the imposter syndrome, are they unknowingly admitting that they're not truly interested in the work that they are producing and therefore they are imposters as they churn out content just to churn out content and feed the SEO algorithm? And they have low or no personal interest in the content they produce? That's a real interesting question. For context, a few days ago, I uploaded a video called How to Be More Interesting, and it explores how being more interesting is, it's not about being interesting. It's not about like forcing yourself to be more interesting, which is what I think a lot of us feel like we're pressured to do. It's about being more interested. By being more interested in other people, by being more interested in the details of our own lives. I totally see where Bill's coming from. There's a lot of phrases out there that I feel like have been kind of appropriated for like kind of the wrong thing. Like a good one is like introverts. These days, introvert means like everything from someone who's truly an introvert to someone who's just shy, someone who's afraid of people, afraid of crowds, who's, afraid on stage. Like the word introvert almost means nothing now because it's applied to so many things. And maybe imposter syndrome is similar. Bill's got an interesting point there. Yes, there's clearly people who are just spinning out content. I talk to a lot of young writers. I know young writers right now who are they're kind of in the place where like their job forces them to have to write content. We're all doing social media these days. So here's young writers who feel like they're forced to be on, Twitter or a blog writing content for their company. And of course they're tasked with that because they're like millennials or whatever the generation we call people these days. I mean, they're supposed to be the ones who are good with the blog, so the bosses give them the blog. And it's not a good fit, right? Because it's like they've never done it before. They're not good writers. They don't know the first thing about trying to engage with an audience when it really should be the founders or their bosses who should probably be figuring out how to be on the blog. Whatever. But what I see from a lot of these young writers is this. They feel like they can't do it. And maybe it's because you're right. Maybe they feel like they're not good at it because they're so not interested in it. What would flip this is if they started writing more about the things that they were interested in. That's probably one of the first pieces of advice to a lot of young writers is like, stop writing about your job and what you think your boss wants you to write and try to figure out how to write about your interests. But figure out how like your interests connect with your business. Let's say you work at a CRM company and you don't want to write about CRM and sales all day because it bores you out of your mind. Write about something else. Write about skateboarding. Write about drones. Write about ice skating. I'm just thinking about things that like I like. Write about these things and find where they connect maybe with your boss's interest or your company's interest. And I think you're going to find like you feel a little more confident there. That all being said, I think imposter syndrome is very real and it's something very different. I feel like I go through it quite a bit, and I think I've gone through this real crazy bout of dealing with that now post High Rise. Here I am and Lynette have been looking for work in our next adventure, and we're full of that. Lynette is starting a new job on Monday, and I'm insanely proud of her, but I will pick on her a little bit in saying that like I think Lynette suffers from imposter syndrome. Lynette is one of the most talented employees I have ever encountered. And I say that maybe biased because I'm her husband. Oh my God, did she like save me at High Rise? It's insane the number of things, like things that we haven't even shared that we had to go through at High Rise. Everything from like tax problems, the FBI contacting us, the series of crazy things that just kept happening on top of like the everyday like managing customer support, managing features, getting things out the door, not having a designer but needing to design something. Guess who did the design? Lynette did the design. She's not a designer. She basically though figured out how to design a feature, and she did a very good job of it. It's stuff like that. She's an amazing employee. Everybody should have her on staff because she could do any job you want and run your business if you're not available to run it yourself. And yet I think she has a hard time kind of conveying that because I think she doesn't maybe believe that about herself. So it's easy for me to see it though, because I got to see it firsthand and depend on it because she was my employee. I totally agree. I think probably imposter syndrome has been misappropriated, but it's very real. And I know a lot of folks are going through it. I think I go through it. I try to look objectively about my career, but then in the moment, man, it's really easy to feel like just terrible about like what you've accomplished and what you can accomplish, and it kind of doesn't make any sense, and you attribute all of it to just luck. It's not about not being interested. I mean, I'm super interested in most everything I touch, but I know I can get into a funk about things and just kind of chalk up previous things that I've done as just being lucky or not important or not valuable or not good. I know there's people out there going through things like imposter syndrome. I don't know how to conquer it, really. I mean, it's just something I talk to people about. I do talk to a therapist still. With Lynette, we go and we chat. We chat about things like imposter syndrome. It's probably a healthy thing to talk to somebody about. If it's something that you feel like if you're really down on like your career and stuff, it's probably good to talk to some friends and some people who can see it objectively as a third party. And I will see you tomorrow.